Pearl, hi. Thanks for being here.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
So I'm excited for you to talk about your work doing distance tapping to help kids in school where moms, were feeling a bit worried about their child experiencing a personal challenge in school. They might even be feeling a bit helpless, not really knowing how to help. You've got experience working with moms doing some distance tapping while the child's in school. And I'm curious, why did you start doing distance tapping? What brought you to this work?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, it's fascinating and it's wonderful. And I've noticed that the advantages are really, really fantastic because parents often feel helpless when their child is going through whatever they're going through. And they just want their child to be fixed. And they can't bear that their child feels like that. And they want to take their child for help. And this is a way that we can do it through the mum. Biggest benefits, obviously, besides a child changing and feeling better, is that mum feels she's doing something. And also the relationship starts to change. Relationships really, really improve. Now, in a session with me, the mother tunes into her child. So as she tunes into her child, she starts to feel what he's going through. And she can connect to it, but she can articulate what he's going through. Whereas if a child would come and see me and say, "What's going on with you, little one?" They'll go, "I don't know." But whereas a mother can articulate how the child is feeling from a very objective point of view, but also feel it at the same time. And what do we know about the tapping? The tapping retrieves information. So as we tap, we're connecting on a subconscious level. So not only can we connect to our own subconscious, we can connect to our child's subconscious. So that's what we do in a session. We find what's in their subconscious, bring it up, heal it, and the child doesn't even need to know it's happening. They're in school. They don't even know what's happening.
So I'm wondering with regards to the how, like, is this an approach that is also used, in situations where the mom feels helpless because they know tapping works because they've used it for themselves. They're trying to persuade their child to try it so that they can get some relief. But the child is resistant.
You see, I look at it slightly differently. Because I always like to work with the mother. Just say, even if the child did want to come to me, I would like to teach the child techniques that they could help themselves. But very often, I would say 90% of the time, the cause of the problem to be there in the first place is something that might have been picked up in the energy. And a child can't really connect to that when I see a child. The mother can connect to it. Maybe the birth, something happens at the birth, and then we need to go into the birth story. So really, really important to actually see the mother, because we're just going to get much more information and insights. Whereas a child can certainly tap on themselves, for the day to day. And we know children releasing so quickly because they're not in the beta minds, but the mother has that extra insight. So I'd always start with a mother. And as I said before, very often there's something in the mother that's being triggered. If they see their child looking withdrawn and lonely, it might be triggering them to a time when they felt withdrawn and lonely and they weren't able to deal with it. And that gets healed at the same time. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Got it. Okay. So, and now I see how because when you said when we think of distant tapping, it's kind of like, well, how does it work if it's distant? Well, actually, there was a point in time when mother and child were one, during the pregnancy, and so there is that visceral connection that and that shared experience that seems to explain why there's that deep connection when mothers are doing the tapping, this tapping with the child. Is that why moms seem to be more drawn to it, or do that also have dads who do this tapping?
I mainly have moms, but I absolutely love that you said that. I think that's so insightful that you said that, because we're all connected, okay, not physically we're all connected, but energetically we are all connected, and there's communication is out there energetically. We're just wrapping our human brain around it. As time goes on, like 50 years ago, computers, we wouldn't have been able to understand that you and I can be speaking here. Time moves on, we realize we're all connected, but communication between a mother and a child is going to be that much stronger. So the mother, 99% of times in a session with me, the mother will pick up the source of the problem, whether it comes from her or the child, something in the history, but it will come up, and it doesn't come up if I was just to work with a child. So yeah, you're right. I love that you said that.
I'm wondering, like, so in terms of outcomes, can you share some examples of any personal challenges a child's going through at school that you've seen some outcomes you'd like to share?
Recent examples, I've got end of year show. The child is quite withdrawn and anxious. A mother remembers last year how the child wouldn't go up on stage, nothing like that. In the session with me, she did the session maybe 2 or 3 days beforehand with me. And as we tapped and went to some memories and whatever came up, outcome was she went to school and the mother had been dreading it. The mother went to school, the girl was happy, grounded, stood up and performed. Children not wanting to go to school, going to school in a better mood, in a much, much better mood. Children who are still getting up in the nights, like I'm thinking of a 9-year-old who was still coming to his parents' room at night. 4 sessions with the mum, the child stopped. I remember the mother messaged me about 3 weeks later. She said, I want to give it 3 weeks and that it's really working. 3 weeks later, it stopped. 11-year-old boy starts with everybody, like a really irritated boy. Irritating. I mean, nobody's irritating. Children are just doing the best they can. I mean, that's also something that's really important to point out in a session. Children are only doing the best they can. So this boy who was irritating behavior, let's say, started with brothers and sisters. In the session with me, the mum was connecting to a memory where he came from a first marriage and where it was a very, very ugly divorce. So she needed to make him feel safe in the memory that came up. Within an evening, I worked with her 8 p.m. one evening. The next day, she messaged me to say, not only did he make breakfast for everyone and he put out all their cups, at the day she got a phone call from the school to say they'd noticed a marked improvement in his behavior. So
wow.
It's very, very, very rewarding. Powerful.
And I'm wondering if it's something that works best for younger children.
I have worked from babies to 45-year-olds, a mother of somebody who's in they're 45. So it can actually work for absolutely any age, high school, anything where, okay, let's be very clear. We can't make someone else happy. What we can do is allow them to release fear and anxiety. So a real result is any fears or anxiety that they're holding on to, that is what we can release. So it's very, very clear. The other thing is they've got to want, on some level, want to be different, because it's their energy has to be open to receiving it. So we're sending a gift through the airwaves. They've got to be turned around. Their arms are, metaphorically to say, their hands, the palms are open to receive the gifts. So yeah, any age, absolutely any age.
Wow. So before we wrap up, I think you mentioned you'd like to leave viewers with something that they could try.
Sure. This is what I would suggest. Yes, come for sessions. That's wonderful. However, I do think what would be an amazing thing to do is, if you've got 5 minutes, you focus on one child at a time. So one day you just focus on one child, you just tune into them, make a picture of them in your mind, and you just look at them and you talk to them in that picture of what you want for them, but you can tap at the same time. And just, so if you've got a picture of them looking withdrawn and upset, acknowledge, because we know the best way to release is to accept and acknowledge. So we're not going to be scared of naming any difficult emotions. So acknowledge you're looking lonely and sad, and I'm sending you love. 5 minutes focusing on a child and what you want for them that day. They will receive it. Next day, go to another child in your mind. 5 minutes for the child. It's, again, all good benefits. It's again a win-win, because not only are you connecting to your child in a different way, because you get an insight. You get an insight to see that your children are only doing the best they can. And you're letting go of that need for them to be different, and just understanding them and accepting them. So 5 minutes a day on each child, I think it would be a lovely thing to do.
And just to check I understood, so while they're doing that, they're tapping through the points.
Yes, tap through the points as you're doing that. So as we go along, you know, I'm seeing you, and I'm seeing you a bit concerned, and you're worried about school, and I'm sending you lots of love. I'm acknowledging how you feel. It's going to be okay. I'm looking at you, and you're really, really good. You can do anything you like, and I'm sending you lots of love. And you can imagine whatever picture comes into your mind. So just spend 5 minutes. It's a stream of consciousness, because as we tap, our intuition kicks in, and we just have a stream of language. So it just comes out. It just comes out, whatever you want to say to them, but in a very validating way. That's important. Letting go of the need for them to be different. You never tidy up your room. Okay, but just validating.
Mm. Wow. Oh gosh, powerful. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pearl, for sharing your, this wonderful gift of a technique here, a way for mothers to go ahead and, they can start tapping right away, and play with it and explore. And thank you for taking this time to share your expertise and your wisdom and your wealth of experience. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Really, really. And really, I hope loads of people are going to benefit, because tapping is wonderful, wonderful, a healthy way to process negative emotions in a simple way.